And all this Kavanaugh madness has the American Civil Liberties Union undermined their core mission. Among the most outrageous ads to come out of this Kavanaugh fight was the one in which the judge was compared to Bill Cosby and Bill Clinton. Well, our next guest says the group's no longer really a bunch of civil libertarians, that they're, quote, serving a different master now. Here to explain what he meant by that is former ACLU Vice President Michael Myers, along with civil rights attorney Will Juando. Michael, I want to start with you. It seems like the ACLU has kind of forfeited their founding mission in favor of what? I guess just a leftist smear?
Yes, in terms of lunatic politics of the left. The ACLU, and when I was proud of it, I served on the board of the ACLU for close to a quarter of a century. I was proud of it when it resisted fashion, when it stood up against to the mob, and when it insisted on the cornerstone of liberty, which is the presumption of innocence. Nobody is guilty of anything on the basis of an accusation. You got to have more than just an accusation. A person is not guilty of murder because a cop says you murdered somebody. A person is not guilty of murder because they're black or because they're women. No, you got to have evidence. So the ACLU has abandoned all principles in terms of due process, fairness, fundamental fairness.
All right, let's play the ad.
In favor of the smear.
All right, let's play the ad, and then, Will, you can react. So this was the ad. It's about 23 seconds. Let's watch.
We've seen this before. Denials from powerful men.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
I've never seen anything like this.
I categorically and unequivocally deny the allegation against me by Dr. Ford.
America is watching, and as we choose a lifetime seat on our highest court, we cannot have any doubt.
Will, the ACLU is about basic principles, due process, individual liberty, and last time I checked, innocent until proven guilty. And comparing Brett Kavanaugh to President Clinton, obviously DNA evidence in that case, Bill Cosby, multiple accusations of corroborated sexual harassment and worse. How does that comport with the overall mission of the ACLU?
Well, look, you know, the thing here is that we didn't have an investigation. We had Don McGahn minutes after the Senate was forced to say we're going to do an FBI investigation, say, hey, we can't have him talking to everybody. There were dozens of witnesses that were put forward by Dr. Ford and others that just were not talked to. They didn't even speak to Dr. Ford and Judge Kavanaugh, the people
Well, because
that
it was
were
a supplemental investigation, and they had both testified for hours.
You brought up the DNA evidence and all that stuff. We could have had some of that if we would have had an actual investigation.
How does that
the problem here is that we didn't have that.
How does
Wait a
that
second.
have that at all?
Will, I adore Will. Michael, hold on. I adore Will, but he just said we might have had something like DNA evidence had we had
we
more
would have had
interviews.
more evidence.
Okay.
Not DNA.
All right, yeah, I don't think so.
They weren't even doing DNA 37 years
okay,
ago.
Will, I mean, Michael, again, the ACLU, I have to say, when I was at Dartmouth, and we got into hot water with a college newspaper that I was working for, the Dartmouth Review, I remember when Ira Glasser, who was, I think, executive director of the ACLU, stood up for us because we were student journalists. But I'm sure he didn't like a lot of the stuff we were doing. We were kind of, you know, we were acting sophomoric. We were sophomores in college. But they stood up for us. And that gave me a sense of what the ACLU is all about. It wasn't partisan.
Right. ACLU used to stand for non-partisanship. They never took a position either for or against candidates for office or nominees for the court. Now it's different. They have the pretense of non-partisanship, and they always say now in all their literature, we are non-partisan. We don't endorse, we don't oppose, but however, and then they go on and give credence to that they oppose people they disagree with.
They will call them for an investigation.
That's not the ACLU. I don't know what you know about the mission of the ACLU. Obviously, you haven't read the policies of the ACLU. You haven't
I used to
read
work at the NAACP.
I said ACLU.
No, you said NAACP.
I know, because I used to work at the NAACP, the national office. I was
What happened to you, man?
I was assistant national director of the NAACP under Roy Wilkins and Ben Hooks.
They're rolling in their graves.
That's when the organization was principled. That's when the organization knew that,
Look, one in three
people
women,
had rights and individual rights
have
and
been
the
sexually
freedom of
assaulted
speech.
in this country.
Okay, guys, here, do we have time for this? I just want to play this one thing. Okay, this is from Susan Herman, this At Liberty podcast. I want you guys to listen very, very closely.
The president of the ACLU.
I think we did want to make that statement and to disagree with those who say, well, you shouldn't pay any attention to her because you don't have objective corroboration. So I think this is our statement that we do believe that women should be believed.
All right, really quick, you got 10 seconds.
quick.
All women should be believed, yes?
1 in 3 women are victims of sexual assault. I have 3 daughters. I want their allegations to be taken seriously and investigated. It didn't happen here.
Okay.
You guys can celebrate all you want, but it wasn't investigated.
Should be believed whether there's corroboration or not.
It should be investigated.
Okay,
It was not here.
Okay, real quick, Mike, real quick, 10 seconds.
That's just absurd. Because somebody is a woman, you have to believe them. Because somebody says they're a victim of a crime, you have to believe them. No, that's not how we live in America.
You have to investigate.
That's not due process. That's not fairness. That's not the presumption of innocence.
All right, guys, we'll have you both back. We got a lot more on this to cover. And by the way, a Women's March co-founder saying support